Welcome back into the film room. I'm your host, Eric Turner. And in today's Cover One Film Room feature, we're going to take a look at a player who I believe will be the starting safety for the Buffalo Bills, Mike Edwards. Edwards is a guy who I believe the Bills have liked for many years, going back all the way to his days at Kentucky. He had a ton of game experience for them. He was a former captain. Coming out, I thought he was a great fit in the Bills scheme because he brought that dog mentality, that play of, say, a Jordan Poyer, of Taron Johnson, the type of guy that has the versatility to play as a post safety, as a split field safety, but also come down into the box and win in and around the line of scrimmage against the run. The league meetings are this week, and Sean McDermott was asked today about Mike Edwards and what he brings to the Bills defense. So listen to what he had to say.
You know, the ability to blitz, the ability to play down low, the ability then also to play in the deep half and the post at times. That flexibility, if you will, is desirable, and I'm anxious to see how he fits into what we do. Been on two different teams now. This will be his third, and he's been primarily a backup at those teams, although he has started some games. And when I've seen him start, I've been intrigued, right, by the way he plays, his style of play, the systems he's been around, being around a Todd Bowles system a little bit, and then being around Spags' system. And, you know, those are some of what we do and where I've come from with Spags in particular.
And what he said there at the end is key. His ability to translate and transfer into the system that the Bills are going to be running because of his familiarity with Todd Bowles and Steve Spagnuolo's system. I think that is key for him to hit the ground running this season in Buffalo. So without further ado, let's jump into some of the film of Mike Edwards and show you guys what he's going to bring to the Bills defense. Edwards is always around the ball in the passing game and the run game. We're going to start with the run game here, filling versus the run against the Bills. He had 47 solo tackles last year, 15 assisted, but also missed 15 tackles. That's a 90% missed tackle rate. That's one of his weaknesses. He does miss a lot of tackles, but he is always around the ball, which is key for a safety. And like I said, he kind of brings that Jordan Poyer type mentality down in and around the box. You see him immediately read this duo run by the Bills. Everyone's trying to wash their guys down here, and the offense is trying to get the one-on-one with the defensive back, Edwards, and you see him come up and make the tackle on Latavius Murray. I love this play against the Raiders. Look at all the movement. Look at the motion, the shifting, and how he's having to process all of that and how that may change the coverage, but also how it changes run fits. And he's able to adjust on the fly here. You see him communicating with the other defensive backs. They're trying to pull him out of the box. They're trying to pull him this way and running a little counter back this way. And look at how quickly he processes the run and then knifes through the traffic to make a play on the ball. That's very good processing pre and post snap here, as the Raiders try to confuse him and his teammates with a lot of shifting and a lot of eye candy and misdirection. But he's able to see through it and come up, work through the traffic, and make a play on the ball right at the line of scrimmage. Just great work processing that run by Mike Edwards. Here's another very good play versus the run, showing off that processing once again. Another shift or motion prior to the snap. Some split flow with the tight end coming across the formation. He once again just finds the ball. So he's lining up over the wide receiver initially. Then you're going to see that motion across, and you can see the Chiefs rock and roll here, their safety. So Edwards and Justin Reed kind of bump inside. And then just watch as that tight end comes across the formation, how these lanes are unfolding. You can see helmet in the gap here. You have a linebacker right here. And just watch how he feathers and feels that cutback coming from that running back. And he's able to meet him at the line of scrimmage with a very nice tackle near the line of scrimmage. Great processing pre to post snap. Once again, his processing versus the run when he's down near the box is top notch. And he senses those cutback lanes and the escape lanes by the running backs and ball carriers, and he's able to minimize those plays. Edwards had 11 stops with the Chiefs last year. He only started 11 games, but when he did play, he made plays versus the run in the past. The Vikings try to motion Osborne over to pick up Edwards, but you can see the quick trigger here by Edwards versus this pitch to the top of the screen. You see him fire downhill and make that tackle in the backfield for a loss. which is really important when you think about where the Vikings are on this play, just inside the red zone. Force that tackle for loss and put them into a tough third down situation. It's one thing to stop the run when you're lined up in the box or on the fringe of the box. It's another to do it from depth and make tackles versus the run from depth like you see here. And this is important because the Bills play a lot of too high safety looks. So the safeties have to be able to fill versus the run in those C and D gaps. And when those runs spill outside, you have to be able to come downhill and make tackles out in space. And he does a great job of that. It's something he's done in both Spagnuolo's system and Bowles' system in Tampa. Here's a really nice tackle from Edwards against the Bills. One of his most productive games last year, to be honest. You see him in a too high safety look, and he comes and fills in the alley as the Bills run an RPO screen to Kincaid. And you see the angle he takes to the ball and is able to wrap up Kincaid on that play, making tackles from depth, coming in under control and fitting up the ball carrier consistently from depth is very important across the league, but also in the Bills defense, one that plays a lot of cover 2, Tampa 2, and quarters looks. This type of skill or trait will translate very well into the Bills system. Let's get into some of his pass game stuff. Here's one of his interceptions from last year. He had 2 total. Chiefs are playing press quarters coverage here, and he's just in the right spot at the right time on this type of play, but it's something you could say routinely about him, and I think that's more of a compliment than it is a detraction. So the Bears are trying to attack. They hook the curl area with a high-low, so you have a stop route or curl route right here, and then they're bringing this behind it. Very good, too high safety beater, attacking the middle of the field where there's a lot of green. So this guy kind of jumps it, but he also does a good job of getting back into the passing lane as the quarterback is getting ready to throw it right there. You can kind of see him get into that passing lane, get a piece of the ball, and usually if a ball is tipped up over the middle, it's usually a bad omen for the offense, and Edwards is able to reap the benefits of that pass deflection. Again, right spot, right time, but you're going to see that occur a bunch on his film, where he's just in the right spot, doing his job, doing his 111th, and is rewarded for that. And again, that's not a negative for me. That's a compliment because he's that type of player that is always in the right spot. Here's another example of it. This time against the Dolphins, you see him moving around. He's heavily involved in the Chiefs' ability to disguise coverages, which we know, especially when you're playing Tua and the speed of the Dolphins, that's incredibly important. He's huge when it comes to that. And once again, right spot, right time. Movement. What are they playing? Single high, too high. Ball snap. They still roll out into a too high safety look. This route is coming back over the middle versus Reed. And the pressure into his face, you see Tua having to fade back a little bit and throw up over the top of the defender. Ball's a little high. And once again, Edwards is in the right spot at the right time for the interception. Here's one of his 6 pass breakups. This one against a division rival in the Jets. Chiefs are playing 2-man, and he just baits the quarterback into throwing it across the middle, and he breaks it up. So it looks like the Chiefs are playing cover 2-man. Snead jams the hell out of Wilson to the top of the screen, takes him out of play, and I think Edwards is going to roll over the top and kind of bracket him, but because Snead wipes him out of the play, he's looking down at Wilson. He's like, you know what? That guy is not a factor, and now I'm going to get my eyes to the next threat. And you can see him reading the eyes of the quarterback, slowly drifting this way, and then when the ball is thrown, he goes and makes a play at the catch point. I love that processing by Edwards and how he baited the quarterback to make this throw on 3rd down over the middle after Snead wiped out Wilson. He found the next threat coming into his area and made a play on the ball to force 4th down. Here's a really nice play on the ball by Edwards in the Super Bowl as Purdy tries getting it to Brandon Ayuk along the boundary. He makes a play at the catch point. But watch the beginning of this play. They're motioning McCaffrey out, and McCaffrey is just running an out route, and Purdy wants to get it to him. But the Chiefs do a good job of trapping him, taking him away as an option. So you can see the ball can't be thrown here. The ball really should be thrown right here. But Purdy doesn't take that. He says, you know what? If this corner is not bailing in zone coverage, I'm going to try to hit the high-low to Ayuk, but Edwards breaks on the ball. Nice transition too. Look at the transition at the top of this as he flips those hips. He's opening to the field. Boom. Open to the boundary. Slips up a little bit. He's not the most agile player, but a very good transition there. And because Purdy's throwing it from the far hash, it gave Edwards time to break on the ball and transition there. But he's able to get in a position to make a play on the ball at the catch point to force third down. When Edwards played, his ability to help disguise Spagnuolo's coverages was incredibly important. And you got to have a high football IQ, mental processing to help in that department. But his versatility also plays a huge part in Spags' ability to use him as a weapon, more so than just a normal split field safety. Sometimes you're going to see him in the post by himself. Sometimes you're going to see him as split field safety look. Sometimes the Chiefs even used him as more of a dime backer in the underneath area, kind of like you see here as they disguise the coverage pre to post snap, and Edwards comes down and makes a stop to force fourth down. Prior to the snap, the Chiefs look to be showing zone coverage to the top. Guys are in off coverage. The eyes are on the quarterback. To the bottom, they're making it look more like man coverage. And you can see Edwards in the middle of the field. And post snap, they change that picture and they spin a safety out, and the Chiefs end up in a too high safety look with Edwards underneath. And watch how quickly he processes what Wilson is doing here. Wilson's going to try to leak it out to his running back on third down so he can get up the field right here out the front side for a first down. But Edwards clicks and closes and shuts that play down. So his versatility, I likened him to a general contractor. He can do a little bit of everything and align in different places. And he has such a high football IQ, that versatility becomes a weapon for a defensive coordinator. And you see him underneath immediately click and close after disguising it pre to post snap and just minimizing this play, forcing fourth down with a really good open field tackle against the Jets. Here's a really nice stop against Jalen Hurts against the Eagles. And his movement, his ability to disguise coverages. When he comes down to the line of scrimmage here, it looks like, hey, maybe the Chiefs are sending some kind of overload pressure. But then he moves his stem a little more. Here comes the safety moving back a little bit. Now it looks like, okay, maybe they're coming off this side. So again, disguising what type of pressure may be coming. But what happens post-snap? Third and long, they drop out, and he's the underneath player. The quarterback doesn't like what he sees down the field, so he tries pulling it on third down. But Edwards is there to minimize that play. He made a ton of plays in critical moments, in critical situations. Spags was able to use him as part of the ability to disguise their coverages, change that picture post-snap, and Spags put Edwards in a position to succeed more times than not, much like you see here against a very good team in the Eagles and quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Just great work pre to post-snap by Edwards, staying home, doing his job, and shutting this drive down. The Bills use Poyer a lot as a dime backer in and around the line of scrimmage, kind of like you see here. And Edwards does have that versatility. I don't know if the Bills use this as often as they did in 2023 because Matt Milano's likely coming back and hopefully he's 100%. But you can see that if needed, Edwards can be that dime backer. Here he is matching up versus the tight end. I don't want him lined up versus slot receivers and boundary receivers for that matter in two-man. But against tight ends, he can hold his own. Does a good job of disguising it pre-snap and then eventually getting into the hip pocket in man coverage, staying on that hip. And as the quarterback tries throwing it down the seam, Edwards is there to make a play on the ball. So he has that versatility as a dime backer and ability to match up versus tight ends across the league. And once again, just always around the ball at all three levels. Here it is from the end zone angle, attaching, staying attached, and then getting his head around as the ball drops in. Good work by Edwards down the field on the tight end. I don't want him matched up versus speedy wide receivers, whether in the slot or the boundary, especially when the team blitzes. Like you see the Chiefs sending pressure here, but it's picked up pretty well. And now you got Devontae Smith on a goal ball or slot fade versus Edwards. The pressure doesn't affect the quarterback, and it allows Hurts to dial in down the field for an explosive play to Devontae Smith against Mike Edwards. So when you're matching him up in man coverage, one, if you're sending a pressure, You got to get home. You got to affect the quarterback, because if you don't, he will be exposed down the field in one-on-one situations against most wide receivers in the league. Here he is as the dime backer in zone coverage, matching the route by Keenan Allen over the middle and making a great break on the ball. Keenan sells it, snaps the route off, and watch Edwards plant and drive and get a piece of that ball on third down. Here it is from the end zone angle. Watch how quickly he breaks on that. Herbert thinks he has a mismatch here, so he tries getting it to Allen as the Chiefs drop out in the zone coverage, but a great break on the ball right there by Edwards. And he should have had that intercepted, to be honest. Nice work there as the underneath defender in this too high safety look by Edwards. Look at the exotic look, the movement against the Broncos. Edwards is in the middle of the field, but you can see they're in that 3 safety look right here, 3 safeties. And so the Broncos are like, you know what, this is too exotic. Let's just get the ball out with the leverage advantage out wide, because you see the safety kind of dropping back here. So now they have a numbers advantage out here, but because of how Edwards fills versus this screen, it shuts this play completely down and once again forces third down. Just a really nice play by Edwards in the open field versus this screen, and disadvantageous look for the defense. He sifts through that traffic, avoids the block by the offensive lineman. Right here is coming for Edwards. Watch him avoid that. Trigger downhill, click and close, end that play. Another third down play here, this time showing Edwards as a post safety, a single high safety prior to the snap. So you see Cook come down, match versus the tight end here. So the Vikings are getting man-to-man coverage with a single high safety look, and so they look to hit Jefferson on the slot fade versus McDuffie. Obviously McDuffie is one of the better corners in the league, but Cousins trusts Jefferson, and so he throws the alert. He throws the slot fade, but watch the range by Edwards on this play. It's great coverage by McDuffie, but you see Edwards cover some ground pre to post snap from the far hash, and he makes it all the way to Jefferson outside the numbers on the slot fade and breaks up the pass at the catch point. So this is one of those plays in a critical moment on a critical down, being third and long, versus a veteran quarterback who recognizes the coverage and takes the matchup in man coverage that he loves versus pretty much anybody. And you see Edwards assist to break up that play and to once again force fourth down. He's always around the ball. He's always making plays in critical moments at critical times against some very good competition. I think Edwards is going to bring some of what Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde did over the years as far as disguising coverages and changing that picture pre to post snap. And that's important this year, probably more than ever, because of the change that we're seeing at the cornerback positions and even the other safety position for that matter. I think he's a gamer. He's a run and chase player. He can do a little bit of everything as far as where he aligns. He's versatile. He's, again, that general contractor type. He can align as a post safety, a split field safety, in the box as a dime backer. He's really good in zone coverage, and he trusts his eyes. He trusts what he sees, and if he's going to make a mistake, he's going to make it playing 100% and trusting his eyes. And that's really important to Sean McDermott and Bob Babbage when it comes to their system. It's a vision-based system. They're teaching these players these keys and assignments, and they want them to trust their instincts and play fast downhill. If you like that breakdown, please smash that like button, leave me a comment in the comment section, or at the very least, subscribe to the Cover One YouTube channel. I'm Eric Turner, owner of Cover One, host of the Film Room every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. So until our next breakdown, go Bills.